Welcome to Let's Be Well Together podcast. We're your wellness check-in team. Join us each week or when you can. We enjoy exploring wellness concepts and reminding you to make time for wellness.
This is episode 170.
We hope our territorial acknowledgement improves allyship with Indigenous people within a reconciliation process. We're on the Haldeman Tract, located on the traditional territories of the Neutral, Anishinaabe, and Haudenosaunee peoples. We acknowledge the presence and traditional knowledge, laws, and philosophies of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land.
Welcome to another episode of Let's Be Well Together. It's Sheila Webster here, and I am joined by Elise Seifert. Hi, Elise.
Hey, Sheila. What's on your mind today?
I saw this article about 8 ways to display emotional intelligence, and I thought this is really an interesting topic, like when you're having conversations to emotional intelligence. So
it's not usually something you think about when you think about being intelligent. Is being
not at all.
Emotionally intelligent. But I know this is something we explore a lot as myself as a teacher, especially because I'm teaching kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the 4 kind of subject areas that we teach is self-regulation. And we talk about emotional intelligence a lot and self-regulation.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Because I guess kids do not know how to emotionally regulate themselves.
No,
right?
It's something they have to learn. And often it's something they learn at home from their examples.
Mm-hmm.
And their examples being usually their caregivers, their siblings. So it's something that probably wasn't really made evident to me as a child. Like, it's just something you thought, I guess I just picked up on, but maybe it was explicitly taught. I can't really remember.
No, it probably wasn't. It was just when you're going through an emotion, how you reacted and then how you were kind of moved in and out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely. So I just thought this was really cool and something that would be interesting on the podcast. So I hope you enjoy it. So we're going to read through the 8. The number 1 is show empathy.
Imagine yourself in others' shoes. Try to understand them, not to fix them.
Yeah, this one's really important.
Definitely.
And something that I needed to work on, right? Not judging them.
Yes.
Just showing empathy, listening, trying to help, trying to understand, and trying to feel for them, but not fix it.
Not fix it. Yes, because sometimes I just want to talk to someone. I don't want you to tell me how to fix the problem.
No.
I just want to complain about the problem.
Yeah. Exactly. You don't need a fix. You know that you have to fix it.
Yeah.
But you just need to get that out. You just need to tell somebody.
Exactly.
So totally cool. Number 2. Give trust to earn trust.
Believe people mean well. Trust first, question later. Interesting. I think this is really challenging.
See, for me, this is pretty much my mantra. This is how I pretty much trust everyone. What they're saying is true. I'm like, why else wouldn't you?
You're right.
Why are you saying it?
Yeah.
You know, like I pretty much am going to trust you. If you're telling me a problem or something that happened to you, I'm going to trust that did happen to you. And then if I find out later that it didn't, then I kind of am like, well, why did you, flip that a little bit, or how, I do then go into it. Generally, I do trust.
Yeah, I think I believe people as well. And it's funny, I always say hi to people on the streets when I'm walking past them, and Stephen will be like, why are you doing that? You don't know them. But, it's just like you trust the people out there and you say hi, or whenever we're watching a show, I always believe what they say.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And Stephen will be like, they're lying. I'm like, what? It's just a character. It's just a character. But
yeah,
maybe I'm too trusting, but I guess it's a sign of emotional intelligence.
Yeah, thanks. Number 3, pause before reacting.
Stop, think, then respond. Emotions are just information. Emotions are just information.
Yeah, that you really want to yell out and scream or say something. But yeah, pause before reacting. I got to work on that one.
Yeah, me too. It's so easy to just be your feelings.
What? Oh my gosh, that's so wrong. I don't believe that, especially in the environment that we're in right now, with everything that's going out and all the stuff that's not even true, or this or that, or they're flipping things around. You just want to scream it, yell, and, but pause. Number 4, ask before assuming.
No one is a mind reader. Questions clear up confusion. I think this is a great one. I think there's often times where, I misunderstand what someone says, or I just make an assumption after they say something. and a question would really help to clear it up.
Yeah. My problem is that sometimes when I'm trying to say something or explain something, I get really excited. And so I don't actually say what's in my head, or I don't say everything that's in my head. So they really don't understand. And then I get frustrated because I'm like, how can you not understand? I just told you, like, and they're like, no, you didn't actually speak English.
Yeah.
Completely.
You're like, I said that. You're like, you did not say that.
No, that's not quite what you said. It's like,
I think sometimes our minds move faster than our mouths maybe.
Yes, definitely.
But I think this is a good one from kind of a manager perspective.
Yes.
It's always good. You know, I think it's easy for you to think they're doing a terrible job. Why did they do that?
Yeah.
But you don't really understand, like, why did you do that? I know someone who says their favorite phrase is, help me understand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, help me understand why this happened, or help me understand how we got here. And yeah, I think that is kind of a nice way to approach those kind of problems that might come up.
Yeah, because there could be a lot of things going on. You're like, oh,
I didn't realize
that
you're struggling with this, or I didn't realize you didn't know this is the step that you need to take that you missed, you know? Yeah.
Number 5, own your mistakes.
Admitting when you're wrong shows strength, not weakness. Learn and move forward.
Try not to blame everything else that happened. Just like, you made a mistake.
Move forward.
Move forward.
I also think there's such a mindset that mistakes are bad. Like, you know, growing up in the school system that we grew up in, I never wanted to make mistakes.
No.
Mistakes meant I was stupid.
9 out of 10 instead of 8 out of 10 out of 10. You want 10 out of 10.
Yeah, you want to be perfect.
Yeah.
You want to, and that's not attainable. And it actually just causes a lot of burnout. Mistakes really help you to learn. And when I reflect on my biggest learning experiences, it's because I made mistakes.
For sure. For sure. Like, I find if I get lost directionally, you know, I'm making that mistake. I turn left instead of right. I've really learned more about the area that I'm in. I'm like, oh, I didn't know I could take this turn and that. Oh, I've just learned a whole nother neighborhood that I can get through and do all those kind of things. Yeah, you definitely, I find your biggest learning is through mistakes. Yeah. Not that you want to encourage people to make mistakes, but you don't want to be afraid to make mistakes.
Don't be afraid. Exactly. Once you kind of let go of that fear, it also leads to a lot less stress because you're not thinking, oh my God, I'm so terrible. I made this mistake. I'm so silly. Like, no, you don't have that. You're just like, oh, okay, I just learned something new.
Yeah. And I find when you own your mistakes, it just finishes the conversation, you know, instead of having this, oh, well, it wasn't my fault. This happened and that happened. And it's just like, oh, I'm really sorry. This happened.
Yes.
Okay, I should have done this, or this could have helped. If this happened, then that wouldn't have happened. But, you know, I've learned. Yeah. I have learned something here, you know? Yeah. So that's really an important one. Say thank you.
Gratitude is powerful. Recognizing others' efforts help them to feel seen and appreciated.
Now, I do really like this one, but I know people who thank way too much. And to me, that is irritating. You know, like, if I'm doing something nice, or you don't have to thank me continuously. One thank you is great. But I do understand too that it's like, when you do something and they're not appreciative, they don't thank you. It's just like assumed that you were going to do that. Yeah,
that's also frustrating.
That is also frustrating.
I live in the world of excessive thank yous. I know Stephen and I, we thank each other for everything. Thank you for emptying the dishwasher. Thank you for taking out the garbage. Thank you for making dinner. Thank you. And you know what it does? It just helps you to kind of appreciate all the things that your partner does for you, and then it helps you to feel appreciated. So we're the overthinkers, for sure. House of the overthinkers. But I do agree that it kind of creates this feeling of gratitude in yourself, and you acknowledging it frequently helps you to feel grateful.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Number 7, lift others up.
Encourage and support those around you. Their success is your success.
No, so true.
So true.
So true.
It's, easy to feel jealous of someone else's success, but that jealousy.
But like, really, why?
Exactly. That jealousy goes nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if it's a race and they won and you came in second, congratulate them and lift them up, but you are a little bummed because they beat you. I guess, but life is not a race.
It's not. And that's something you don't really realize until you're older. I think when you're going through your adolescence, especially, everything seems so linear. Do this, do that, do this, do that. Get a house, get married, get a house, have kids. That's the order that your life should be in. And then as you start to go through your adulthood. You're like, that's not actually the order it has to be in at all.
No,
And
definitely
it's not a
not.
competition about who does those things first.
Yeah, who had the first car? Oh, who had the first house? Who had the first child? Like all these things. It's like, it's not a competition. It's an experience and a development and an enjoyment. And you will enjoy it more if you lift each other up.
Totally. Because
And just appreciate and
the jealousy just creates just bad feelings for yourself. And there's no sense in hurting yourself and others emotionally.
no. And the last one is keep your promises.
Do what you say you will. Reliability builds trust and respect.
Yeah, see, so that's a big thing for me. I have to keep my promises. If I promise to do something, I don't care how complicated it is, I'm going to do it.
Do you ever think it would be easier for you to reach out to someone to say, hey, I promised to do this, but I just need a little extra help with it?
Sorry, are you saying that, have I ever tried that or
do you ever think I should have done that?
I'm pretty good at delegating actually.
Yeah, okay.
So because, I ran a business and had to do that a lot, I definitely take on a lot myself.
Yes.
Because I just generally find that it gets done and it gets done in the time manner that I need it to get done.
But sometimes that can be harder on a person.
Yes. Sometimes it's a little harder on me or on the person that's doing it. And so I will delegate or I will accept help. It happens, but I am definitely, I can just do it. Let me just do it. I'm just going to do it.
I think it's easy to fall into that trap because you think, I'm going to do it the way I want it to be done.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm trying to get over that. It's okay for someone else to do it, even if it's not the way you want it done.
Exactly.
And that's
Or
a hard
in
thing.
your timeline.
Yeah. And that's probably more something for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me too. I definitely have that. And I've had to do that. But yeah, I think keeping my promise though, if I say I'm going to do something, I got to do it. If I can't do it, then make sure you tell them, give them time.
And I think that's important. And, sometimes things come up or sometimes you're just not able to do everything you thought you would. And
No.
it's important just to communicate.
Exactly. Yeah. So there you go. Some emotional intelligence for you.
Guests are giving their time, expanding our minds. As an alternative to an interview today, I want to tell you about something that I'm pretty excited about, a strategic plan that I've come up with on how to approach well-being. I've talked a lot about the 8 categories and a 3-step approach, and that's more granular, a strategic plan. I'll come back to describe what that is. But the good news is after doing this podcast, which has now been going on for 3 years, wow, that's really hard to believe for me. I've had a chance to talk to lots of people, and it's really helped me in my thinking. It's helped me to develop my thinking and my theory, which has been interesting because when I started doing the podcast, my objective was to share the theory about this practical approach. And I kind of thought I knew the message I was hoping to get out. But it turns out that talking to so many amazing people has helped me refine it and build it. And I always wanted to have a strategic plan. And eventually things kind of fell together. So I now have one. And I'm really grateful to the co-hosts and guests and listeners for helping me figure this out. So what is a strategic plan? Well, many organizations put together a strategic plan, and it usually talks about long-term goals and priorities and actions, including some specific actions needed to achieve them. I'm not using the concept of strategic plan that way so much. I'm using it more in a limited sense. I'm not going to talk about the specific activities. I want to leave that to each person to figure that piece of the puzzle out for themselves. Whatever approach to wellness and balance we come up with, it's person specific and your approach will look different than mine. I want to focus on a vision, what I want my approach to well-being to become. I want to focus on goals, broad objectives I hope to achieve. And I began thinking about a strategic plan after I developed my practical and action-based approach to looking for balance and wellness. And it finally came from reflections on these discussions I had with guests. I use an acronym, GET, G-E-T, and I call it Get Wellbeing. G for grow, E for embrace hard work, and T for together. And that is now, I realize, a really good way for me to approach my life that's going to help me work towards well-being, to be growing, to embrace hard work, and to realizing how much more we can accomplish together. Let me start by going through each of these in turn. So starting with grow. When I started thinking about wellness and trying to find an approach to it, I be honest, I thought there would be some kind of complicated or kind of mystical answer down the road. I thought there had to be, like, how could we come up with something that's common sense? How can we come up with something that's, pretty easy to explain? Because we all strive for well-being, but it's so hard to feel it. It's so hard to get there. It seems fleeting when we do get the feeling of it. But in the end, I've come to conclude that it doesn't have to be that complicated. And after much thought, reflection, trial, error, life experience, the approach that works for me is to strive to become a well-rounded person. That's it. I mean, that's not all because it's such a challenging thing to do, but that's not super mysterious. Try to become a well-rounded person. And while doing it, it doesn't hurt to try and strive for excellence in the things you really care about. And I mean this in a straightforward way, to be able to do many and varied practical things, from being athletic, to being good at my profession, to developing my intellect, to learning to cook, to learning hobbies. How do you take care of a house? Being able to read a map in a foreign city. Just basically being decent at a broad range of practical activities. And in some cases, the things I really care about, it helps me to really push for excellence. And without getting into a long discussion about it, I often mention the book Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. And what I really liked about that, there's a long discussion about the main character trying to figure out what quality is. And I tend to agree with the thought that if we try and be really good at something, it doesn't mean we have to be the best. It doesn't mean we have to be better than someone else. But if we strive to be really good at something, it's going to really require us to learn a whole bunch of subsets of stuff to get good at that thing. And in that process, we learn things about our state of mind and how we achieve good results and a whole bunch of other stuff. Pursuing excellence in the context of trying to become a well-rounded person is a wonderful way for me to try and live my life. And it brings me a lot of sense of well-being. The other thing about growing, so that's growing in the sense of being well-rounded. I mean, think about it. We're always changing. We're in a constant state of change. And the world around us is always changing too. So if there's going to be a constant state of change, I choose to use it as an opportunity to grow. Grow, to challenge myself, to learn new things, to be curious, but to grow in a good way. If you're going to change, I'm going to try and grow in a good way. And as a quick aside, this doesn't really connect directly to the concept of growth. But another really important lesson in this is compartmentalizing. And I remember, for example, in an interview with Karen Redmond, she mentioned this, and it was like a light bulb going off. Compartmentalizing. When I'm at work, I work. When I'm running, I run. When I'm cooking, I think about what I'm doing. The old me used to often be thinking about the past and future. I was trying to do an activity, but I was distracted by concerns or fretting about something that either happened or was going to happen. And that meant that when I was doing the activity at the time, I wasn't doing it as well, or it took longer, or whatever. And so, yes, you want to grow and you want to be well-rounded, which means you're going to be doing a lot of different things. For me, compartmentalizing helps a lot in this context. So the first major goal I have as part of my strategic plan is to grow, to try and become a well-rounded person. The second one caught me by surprise: embrace hard work. Never when I started on the path to understanding well-being did I think that hard work would be a key, but I'm convinced of it now. Because a lot of times when I talk to people about well-being, like when did you feel good and that kind of stuff, a lot of people like the times in their life where they're stress-free. And stress-free might mean sitting in a chaise lounge on the third day of a vacation to the Mexican Riviera. Maybe that's when you're finally feeling chill and relaxed. I think that's a great feeling. I haven't felt it in a while. I wish I actually did right now. But how long do you want to hang out there? I realized that when I look back on my life and I think about the times where I felt really rewarded, when I really felt good about myself and my life, it often came after hard work or a challenge or both. And I don't always want to be facing a challenge. I want to relax at times. I need to rest at times. But the key is I'm not going to try and avoid hard work. In the context of doing the actions, the activities to foster wellness in my different areas of wellness, in the context of having to do hard work at times, I'm not going to try and avoid it, because I now realize that when I lean into hard work when it's necessary, it's going to help me in all sorts of ways, including in many areas of wellness. It fosters my well-being, and it's a critical element. Yes, I want to rest. Yes, I want to relax, but that's not my goal. I don't want to end up at a, quote, chill state and hang out there. I want to be living my life. I want to live life in every breath. And when that means hard work, I am not going to avoid it. I'm going to lean into it. Together, we are social animals. I get a deep satisfaction from helping other people. My ideas are better when I seek input from others. Laughing with other people is more enjoyable than laughing with myself. We accomplish so much more together. The last paragraph of my book says, wellness is not a zero-sum game. Together, we can share ideas, be kind to each other, and inspire each other. Let's be well together. I call my podcast, Let's Be Well Together. I believe it's our best chance to be well together. It is important for each of us to work on our own wellness. And if we become more well, we can better help others. We often talk about the airplane oxygen mask example. And also I had interviewed Ardith Correa. She's a life and health coach, and she helps moms of kids who have neurodiverse conditions. And she saw something wonderful. She said when moms feel better, feel stronger, feel less stressed, and feel less tired, it has a positive impact on the whole family. So it's a good goal to work on my own wellness, then work together with others on our collective and individual wellness. But in the end, let's never forget that together we can accomplish more. So there you have it, my 3 broad goals to achieving well-being, which for me make a great strategic plan. With strategic plans, you tend to revisit them. Maybe it's every 5 years, maybe it's a different time period, but this is a fantastic one for me right now. And then let me just dovetail that into the practical approach that I take, which fits nicely within it. Because if you then think of the 8 categories of wellness, mental, artistic, environmental, spiritual, physical, intellectual, economic, and social, those ones that are important to me, for me, this is my way of now getting in the granular practice of working towards well-being through actions. Just to remind you, there's a 3-step approach that I use to try and work towards wellness and balance. First, identify the categories of wellness that are important to me. I just read the 8. You might have the same, you might have different. Step 2, figure out activities that nourish each category, and then make time for them. Make sure you're doing the activities in the different areas of wellness that are important to you to foster them, and that will help you feel more balanced. And third, develop a wellness check-in. You can either be pretty formal about it by kind of going through a list of questions. You can just kind of check in with yourself mentally. You might even want to look at bullet point lists of activities that you've put together that foster each category. It's up to you the approach you take. But if you do want to take a little bit more of a formal approach, and this is in my book, Accidentally Well, the kind of questions you can ask yourself when you're doing your check-in, I personally do this if I'm feeling off. Like if I'm feeling off, what's wrong? And I ask myself these kind of questions. What's helping me feel fulfilled at this time in my life? What's making me feel unwell? What will help me feel fulfilled over the course of my lifetime? Because for me, balance is over the course of a lifetime, not in any given spot. What will I regret doing or not doing? Am I neglecting an area of wellness? If yes, how can I change that? We often talk about trade-offs. Another question, am I trading off wellness in one area by devoting too much time to another area? And who knows, it might be worth it, but I need to at least think about, is the trade-off worth it? And if I'm missing out on some facets now, is it worth continuing what I'm doing? Or should I bring more balance back now? Or maybe I bring balance back in 2 weeks. And another question you might ask, which of the things that have an impact on my wellness do I have control over? Of the things I have control over, what could I do differently? And of the things I don't have control over, how can I mitigate or eliminate the detrimental impact? So there you have it. I'm really excited because after talking to lots of people and having had my practical approach in place, I'm now settled on to a strategic plan that I think is going to work really well for me for the next years. And maybe in 3, 4, 5 years, I'll revisit it and see if I want to change my strategic plan. We love our listeners and thanks for joining us. Please help spread the word about Let's Be Well Together podcast. Follow us and rate us on Spotify, Apple, Google, or your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on Instagram at lets.be.well.together and let your friends know about us.
Move that body like we're meant to do.
I recently spoke with David Amerland. He did a couple interviews with us. And I asked him if he could also do some Move That Bodies because he's so into the physical side. And so I wanted to take that opportunity. And I asked, hey, what should we talk about? And one of the topics, which I think is really, really important, is how we breathe. How do we approach this, David? What should we talk about?
Okay, breathing is one of the things which we're born to do, right? And we all do it, otherwise we die. And we're all really bad at it unless we actually train ourselves to be better.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, now we have basically 2 areas in our body we can breathe from, our nose and our mouth. And that brings us to 4 possible combinations. We can breathe in and out through our nose, breathe in and out through our mouth. We can go in through the nose, out through the mouth. Or we can go in through the mouth and out through the nose, which I wouldn't advise because it's hard. It's energetically difficult. Okay, it feels really hard. And if you try it, it immediately comes off the list. So really, for most combinations, the question is, can we have an optimal way of breathing? And does it have a positive impact? And the science on this is pretty clear. Yes, if we take a deep breath through our nose or a deep breath through our mouth, the actual volume of oxygen we're getting into our body is exactly the same. There's no difference. But if we breathe in through the nose, there are additional benefits. First of all, the first one is, it gets filtered, right? There are hair follicles through the nasal passages, all the particulates and all the germs, etc. They get filtered through as the oxygen, as the air goes through the nasal cavities to reach our lungs. The second thing is that the nasal cavities actually warm the air up by a couple of degrees. So by the time it reaches our lungs, it is a little bit friendlier to our body environment. The shock of cold air, especially if you live in northern climes, is a lot less than if you're breathing through your mouth. But here's the clincher on this. If we breathe in through our nose, there's a nitric oxide response in the lungs, which is activated, which allows the body to make more use of the oxygen we have per breath than if we breathe in through our mouth. And the difference is not massively significant, but if we're doing an exercise, any kind of activity which requires us to breathe in and out for a sustained period of time, then it adds up, and certainly we'll be out of breath sooner rather than later if we just breathe in and out through our mouth, even though in terms of volume of air, it's exactly the same. But yeah, that's the optimal way of doing it. Breathe in through the nose, breathe out through the mouth.
Okay, that's going to throw me for a bit of a loop. A couple things. So many years ago, I took Kung Fu martial arts.
All right.
And they talked about qi, for example. And
yes.
I could really feel good by breathing in through my nose. And I imagine it going down the back of my lungs,
yes,
down into kind of the spot, the bottom of my belly, let's say, and then breathe out through my mouth, imagining the breath coming up the front of my lungs and out. And that's a really great way to go. I know in yoga, we're told to breathe through our nose, but when I run, it's really hard to run and breathe through your nose. Like it's a lot easier for me to run and breathe through my mouth. So are you saying that in your experience, no matter what you're doing, whether it's exercise or these other things, the benefits are usually there to go breathe in through your nose and out your mouth?
Yes, okay. Absolutely. So you'll actually be better oxygenated. That's all it is. And it's marginal. Like I said, over a period of time, which is 15, 20 minutes, an hour, whatever, however long you run for, that adds to significant more oxygen in your body, in your muscles, in your brain, than if you were just breathing in through your mouth all the time. And it has an additional benefit, particularly when you do running. If you breathe in through the nose and exhale through the mouth, you maintain the moistness of your throat simply by putting your tongue against the roof of your mouth and activating salivary glands, so you're never dry-throated, dry-mouthed. But if you're breathing in and out through the mouth, your throat dries out, you begin to feel that you're constricted, you can't take proper breaths, and you're not really, but all that's happened is the flexibility of the windpipe is beginning to be impacted. So it feels like the throat is closing up, which is an uncomfortable feeling, and it certainly tends to put you off your stride.
Okay, and there's one more thing is you hear about people saying that a lot of people make the mistake of breathing into their chest instead of into kind of, say, their belly. Yes. Do you have anything to say about like where you should be breathing into?
Well, this is the breathing mechanism. What do we have to do? Because there's no pump, right? There's no pump for us to actually draw in air. What do we have to do? We relax the muscles of the diaphragm. The diaphragm relaxes, then the lungs open up, and there's a kind of vacuum of air in terms of there's lower pressure inside our body than is outside. And the air outside is higher pressure, so we can draw it in. That's all it is.
And so where's the diaphragm?
The diaphragm is, where our chest is. They're basically the rib cage itself.
Okay.
That goes up and down. Those are the muscles which drive the rib cage up and down, and they basically constrict it or expand it. So when we relax our diaphragm and we can draw a breath in, that essentially fills up what we feel is the bottom of our stomach. Let's put it this way.
Right.
It means, our lungs fill up. Usually we are tense and we don't realize we're tense. And when we're tense, we take short, shallow breaths. Because we take these improper breaths, we have to take more than usual. It's energetically a little bit more costly because our diaphragm doesn't relax fully. So we breathe in, not fully. We haven't got the oxygen we need. The carbon dioxide response basically builds up a little bit faster because that's what actually forces us to exhale. So we exhale a little bit faster now because it built up a little bit faster than it should. And then we take another breath. So whereas a relaxed person takes, 1 to 5 breaths, we'll take like 3 to 10. So that actually tires us out. So it's always just relax, lie back, open up your arms if you wanted to help your chest expand. Take a really, really, really deep breath and then exhale slowly through the mouth. And this is also good advice if you ever feel stressed. The moment you feel stressed and you are aware that you're stressed, what do you need to do? It's called a double sigh. You basically breathe in through the nose, slowly breathing in until your lungs are absolutely full and you can't hold any longer. And then hold it for a second and take a little bit more. So that's a double sigh. So you go, breathe in, you're absolutely full. And when you can't anymore, you just take a little bit more. And then slowly after that, exhale through the mouth. And you feel instant relief. And we know from my fMRI studies that if you do that, the part of the brain, the limbic system, moves by as much as 5%, which is crazy. You take a deep breath and your brain moves. And you haven't got nerve your receptors in our brain to actually allow us to sense that. But if we're stressed, we can actually feel a kind of decompression of the brain because of the movement of the limbic system, which affects the volumetric pressure, which is how the fluids in the brain press against other parts of the brain.
Okay, well, it's something we do since we're little babies, and maybe we do it better as a baby than an adult, but really important stuff. And thanks for giving us some tips and helping us better understand that, David.
Well, you're most welcome.
Please remember that we're not providing advice. We hope to inspire you to work towards balance, and we urge you to consult with qualified people if you need advice. The people on the show are speaking in their personal capacities. Their views expressed are their own and don't represent the views or opinions of their outside contacts, their employers, or anyone else. We try to get things right, but we can't guarantee everything we say is correct or that the things we talk about will work for you. Let's be well together, and let's be sure to do that in a safe way.
And it's sign-off time. It's Sheila here with John.
Hello, everyone.
I have 3 different moments that I enjoyed this week. So first was my moment. I went for a hike at Elora Gorge, and we did a 2-hour hike along this beautiful water rushing, and the weather was just gorgeous. And it was just one of those things that you're just like, wow, it's so nice to be alive. So that was 1. 2, I can do hard things. Elise and I, her shed fell down because of an ice storm. And so we took it apart and brought it to the dump. And I was so proud of us. We had to take the screws out and some metal, and it was a job, but we did it. So I was really proud of both of us for getting that done. And then today, the weather was so beautiful. So glad to be alive. I was biking out there, enjoying the beautiful weather. I biked to my mom's house. I biked to work and back. And it was just a lovely day to be alive. So I just love this weather and enjoying this time. What about you, John?
That sounds amazing. I'm just curious who the we is, because you told me you're going grocery shopping and apparently you were with somebody going for a nice walk.
I did not.
Well, the we wasn't me, but anyway.
No. So it was a good social time because I was with my friend that I went to Portugal with. So Karine and I went for a walk on Laura Gorge. So that was really nice.
Well, I had some great runs. The weather's turning perfect. I'm feeling more into it after having been sick for a while. I think that I'm feeling better and feeling lighter when I'm running, which is fantastic. And today I biked to work. So I got my bike ready.
Wow.
So Sheila and I both biked in different directions, and that was really nice too. I really like the feeling. I don't know why, like when I get to work after I bike, I have this certain energy I don't get at other times. It's a different energy than when I run. And there's presents coming up. Mother's Day is coming up, and I got an idea for a cool present for Sheila. And my birthday's coming up, and I got an idea for a really cool present for me.
Yes.
Which I'm hoping will be really cool, and I can tell you guys more about it later. So, and of course, we're recording this. It's actually Election Day in Canada, so we're going to find out what happens. It'll be a bit of a mystery. I think these days, like the polling all says one thing, but I think these days it's really hard to get any kind of accurate polling. So we won't know what's going to happen until tonight. But in any event, whoever takes over, hopefully they can steer our ship and protect us in the face of some pretty weird stuff that's
very
going on in the world.
I also think that we're going to have high voting turnout because from the early voting, records have been very high. So let's hope that everyone got out there and voted.
Okay, well, we hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.
That is it for today's show. Please try and make wellness a priority.
You deserve it.
If you feel the need to talk to someone or ask for help, please do that.
Accept yourself for the person you are.
So long.
Adieu.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Goodbye.